Are you surprised that the U.S. hasn't joined the reporting, at least from the Financial Times, saying that the EU is preparing to freeze the assets of Putin and Lavrov?
First of all, I should say that I'm surprised that Europe has taken such a step. I mean, I've spent the last 10 years in a conflict with Vladimir Putin, trying to get the Europeans to do the bare minimum things in terms of human rights abuse and so on in Russia. And the European Union has always been on the back foot, never doing the right thing. And the U.S. has always been the country taking the lead on this. And so I'm very surprised that the European Union has done this. I'm very happy that the European Union has done this, if it's for real. And I'm sure that the U.S. will quickly come into conformity with it. I don't think that it's just if you were to look around. 2 weeks ago, the Germans were not even ready to supply any military equipment to the Ukrainians other than 5,000 helmets. And now they're saying Vladimir Putin. It's a pretty big step.
Bill, given your intimate experience with the financial system of Russia and the subsequent problems that can emerge there, what's your view on how effective some of these sanctions, some of these asset freezes could be at a time when so far it seems like they have not caused Vladimir Putin to retreat in any way?
Well, so far, they haven't sanctioned Vladimir Putin. I mean, first of all, it's very important that when they say they're sanctioning Vladimir Putin, they're sanctioning also his trustees, because Vladimir Putin, it's very symbolic to say we're sanctioning Vladimir Putin. He doesn't have, he's an extremely rich man. He's worth, I would say, more than $200 billion, but none of that money is held in his own name. It's held in the name of people he trusts on handshake agreements. I call them oligarch trustees. Right. And so unless you're to sanction the top 50 oligarchs at the same time, you're not actually going to get his money. However, if you were to sanction those people, you're hitting him exactly where it counts. Putin, he doesn't care if you sanction a Russian bank or if you do something to the oil industry. He cares about his own money. And if you actually get his money, then he's going to stop and pay attention, because he's worked very hard for the last 20 years, torturing, killing, taking hostage people, and to try to get all their money. And have all the money taken away. That's 20 years of hard work for a dictator. And so that would work. That would have a real and serious and dramatic effect.
Bill, I want to get to headlines with John Farrow, and I want you to stay with us. But very importantly, your Hermitage Capital is based off St. Petersburg and one of the glorious museums of the world. That's 250 miles from Estonia. At what risk are the Baltic states based on your experience of Russia?
In my estimation, so after Putin is done with Ukraine, assuming he gets done with Ukraine, and that's not a given, the Ukrainians are fighting like hell and actually having some success at the moment. But assuming he's done with Ukraine, then his next goal is going to be to test the resolve of the United States and many countries in the EU to defend the Baltics. We have we're all members of NATO. NATO is a one for all for one military defense organization. And Vladimir Putin, in his mind, doesn't believe that we will all come and defend Estonia or Lithuania. He doesn't believe that America will want to go to war with Russia to defend a country most people have never heard of.
Bill, I would love your reaction to these headlines in real time, so allow me to bring them to you. As you know, a little bit earlier this morning, there were talks between the Russian leader and the Chinese leader. According to state TV, the Chinese urged Russia and Ukraine to negotiate to address problems. We just had a headline moments ago. Let me read that out for you, and then I'd love your reaction. Russia is ready to send a delegation to Minsk for Ukraine talks. This, according to Interfax, they're ready to send their defense minister, foreign minister, for a delegation for talks. This, according to Interfax. Bill, just as you react to that, what is your first reaction? What does that mean? How would you interpret that kind of report? The Chinese have spoken to the Russians. We're getting a headline now from Interfax. They're ready for talks. I'm thinking about what their objectives are at the moment, how the Ukrainians might receive a statement like that. What are you thinking about?
Well, on one hand, we could say, wow, good news. Okay, there's talks now. But the reality is, and I've been involved in all sorts of ugly conflicts and negotiations with the Russians. They stick this stuff out there to try to give a little bit of hope. You may remember a couple of weeks ago, they said, we're withdrawing our troops from the border. Remember that bunch of pictures of of a few tanks going back, and the markets went up, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and it meant nothing. The Russians can do talks. They should have been doing talks all along. I would put a 2% probability that this leads to the end of the conflict it's pure theater in my mind. But, maybe I'd love to be proven wrong.